I'm John Livingston. I've run Logos Books and Records in Santa Cruz for 48 years. I've been doing it a really long time. It's been a great store. And I realized at a certain point that it was time for me to retire. I tried to sell the business for about a year and didn't have a lot of luck. And a friend of mine runs a business down the street. And he runs a music store. And he told me about experience he had with G.A. Wright recently, where in fact, he used them twice. And he had a retirement sale, and it went extremely well. And I was very excited when he told me that, because I was depressed at the fact that I wasn't able to sell the business. And I read an ad from them, and it said that I could actually possibly do better if I go with them as opposed to and liquidate rather than and sell the business. So I got enthusiastic about that, and I contacted them, and they sent someone over to talk to me, and I became more and more enthusiastic about it. I'm not a marketing person at all. It's not my strength, and I really had no idea how to go about this, but I've always heard that if I ever did this, that to have a professional do it. And their ideas are things that I never would have come up with, wouldn't have expected to work particularly, and yet I was shocked at the positive results. So the first day I came down with great trepidation. I had no idea what was going to happen, and I saw a few people standing at the back door of my store, and I couldn't see the front at that point. I realized later that there was a line that went all the way around the block, and as soon as we opened the doors, we were inundated with people, and they just got to the point where you couldn't walk around the store. People actually came and complained that they couldn't move, and the fire marshal came in and said, you got to do something about this. So we blocked off the doors. We had some bouncers, and we wouldn't let anybody in for a while, a couple of hours, until we got down to a reasonable number, and then we let one out, one in for another 10 hours for the day, and it just kept like that. And the next day was almost the same thing, and the next day was almost the same thing. So normally we have 2 cash registers. We had 3 set up. We had 2 people at each cash register, and they could barely keep up with the action. The lines were probably 100 people long at each register. We did 15 times a normal day's business the first day, and it kept up at almost that level for the next couple of weeks. Yeah, I would call it a buying frenzy, as what we had. People were going nuts. It's partly because of the prices, but the prices weren't that low, relatively speaking. I thought we would have to sell everything at 50% off. We were selling them at 20% off, and people went nuts anyway. They're buying everything in sight, and it was partly because they wanted the discount, but it's partly because they wanted to be part of this event. Margins have been unbelievable. I assumed I would have to sell everything at 50% or below cost. And that's not true at all up to this point. We're still down to the last 3 weeks of our sale, and we're still well above cost. I made the assumption at the beginning that selling the business would be better than liquidating the business, but now I am not at all sure of that. I think that the benefits I got out of this, and also the chance I got to interact with the community in the process, which is something that wouldn't have happened at all if we had had a sale of some kind. It was important to all of our customers who had been around for 48 years to let us know how they felt and to become part of the opportunity. G.A. Wright has been very cost effective.